what we've picked in the greenhouse. I have noticed that the peppers are beginning to turn red at last. We just need some good light levels to take them through. The majority are still green. I saw one of the bull's horn ones was actually, well, it was damaged, so it was throwing it away. It was ripening at one end and it was a yellow, so we're going to hopefully have some yellow bull's horn this year. Something different. Now outside the greenhouse we've got the basil growing, as you can see, in these long troughs. Well, 3 long troughs in a pot. So when we go back to the house, we'll cut some of this off to take up to put with these tomatoes to make the passata. Perhaps take some onions as well. As we're passing the courgettes, we'll just show you what's happening down here. I don't know if it's because of the very wet spring or the case that we had a lot of standing water down here, but all the courgettes are producing a courgette and then it's rotting off at the end. I don't know if anybody else is getting that. Loads of courgettes come in, but they don't develop much more than what they are now. The ends just go rotten and we don't want to be using them. Now what I found was that this end of the garden had the standing water and was very wet most of the winter. It's not produced really well at all. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark off the wettest end of the garden and I'm going to leave it fallow for as long as I possibly can to just let the soil rest a bit, and then take some acid tests, etc., and adjust the pH as necessary through the winter. But I won't dig it, I'll dig it over to tidy it and then just leave it. The peas that I was growing were the Kent Blues, and they was on this soil that's been wetted, as we say, and they got to 18-inch tall and died. And when I took them up, they hadn't come out of the root trainer root that was grown in, that hadn't moved at all. So whether something's come with the flood water, I think the blackleg we had in the potatoes, reading up on it, one of the things that cause blackleg is very, very wet soil and floods. So that might contribute to that, which is actually now moved into the tomatoes, but I'll show you that in a bit. With this problem we've had with the water, the Coco de Pampo have not been affected at all. They've got beans coming nicely, and also the Pongo beans, which is this row, they haven't been affected at all, and that's what we're going to pick today, is get these picked. That's a slug. Get these picked today and get them out of the ground, because now if we do get some wet weather, you know what the slugs are like this year. So what I'll do is, it's easier to cut them off and then strip the beans off. These beans, if you take them at that side, they're beautiful. A little bit more work to chop them, but my goodness, they are nice beans. So it's a thank you to Bill and Val. We'll be eating those in the next few weeks, and we'll actually freeze them down, so we'll be eating them actually most of the winter. Just strip them off. It's a little bit of a job, but you soon get the hang of pulling them off. And I think the time we're finished, with looks of the crop, we'll fill this truck with them. So that's how we're going to harvest them. So I'm going to get Diane to give me a hand and get them harvested and then show you what we've actually picked. There's a lot of them on there, but they are nice and firm and just at the right size. Now, as you remember, we always leave the roots in, hence I brought the secateurs just to cut them off. I know these were alright. The Kent Blues they just came out not moved on the root, so there's something they didn't like that came floating in. So we'll get them picked and we'll come back to you. There's the Pongo beans that we've harvested, quite a few. Now, I don't know if you can see, but I've left a few at the end of the row. When they've dried out a little bit, which won't take long in this weather, I'll take them off and hang them up in the shed, and they'll be our seed for next year. Well worth growing Pongo, they do well on this heavy land as well. Right, we'll go and pick some of those tomatoes outdoors, and I'll be able to show you what I've done with them. Now, the potatoes we had that had the black leg, I cut the tops off, as you know, and now I've harvested them. They were small and there was a few rotten ones in it, but I still got 50% of the crop. Although they are smaller, they're still usable and they're now stored away, but I'll show you where they were. This was the potato plot. Now, I just forked it over roughly as I lifted them. It's one of the plots that will now stand fallow. Any brown marks on them, that's how it starts. Look, you get those black spots appear on the leaves. No markings underneath to say it's blight. And what you'll find is that once it gets in, what I've been doing is taking these off. You see, as I go round, and then I take them down and actually burn them. When it gets in to the tomatoes themselves, you get an odd one in the bunch, as you like, that will get a little bit of brown on, and I've been taking those off as well. We seem at the moment to be in control of it, because the tomatoes we're going to harvest will be off these and those up there. Now, it's not been so bad from, say, the yellow tomatoes upwards, because we're getting away from where the potatoes were. So these aren't too bad. We've got a bit of leaf curl, but I think that's these extreme temperatures we've been having that's done that. Tomatoes are fine, and we'll harvest some of these as well today. But they look alright, but by taking the leaves off, hopefully we can still catch that crop. Now, I'll get Di to give me a hand. We'll just pick these red and yellow tomatoes that are ripe and get them in the basket. The tomatoes picked, and one plum. There was a plum nearly ready, so we'll have to try it. Diane will have to try it. There's a good weight of tomatoes there. Now let's get some of this beetroot lifted. The peas that we set are coming up nicely now. Next week we'll put the little wire fence on them, if you like, just to give them something to grab hold of. If you don't give them something, they'll just fall over anyway. These are the beetroot we're going to lift. As you can see, one has gone to seed, but we'll take that out while we're there. It's a bit tight between the two meshes, but I'll stand at the end and we'll lift out, and I'll lift them from there rather than here. Now, these are called bolt hardy, but you'll always get an odd one that will bolt, so we'll take this one out first. It'll be of no use, hardly any bottom on it when we get there. That's got it. I've lifted them all now, look, the whole group. So there's your, there's two actually. There's the ones that have bolted, look. So they go to compost. These two, that one's no good, that will go. And those two's fine, look. Those two fine, so I'll put those down and we'll get into these others. You find, yeah, it's easy to lift the group, look, and do it that way. So there's two more nice. I think I'll be able to lift this one as well, I don't know. Yeah. There you are. Yeah. They're all usable, look. Perhaps not that one. They're usable. It's then two, that one. It seems to be this side row that is the better row. It's probably because I've been watering the peas and the crop that was in before them. I watered that as well. Another pair here, look, they'll come out alright. So. Nice beetroot. I'll lift this row and then come back to you and show you what we've got. And what I'm doing, always with beetroot, I put my hand there, get that, twist it round, and then they go for cooking, pickling or whatever. If you get a knife or your secateurs and you cut them off, they tend to bleed and they'll lose the colour when you're finished preparing them. But this way you don't get so much bleeding out the top. You get a little bit on your hands, but wear gloves. So there they are, the first row of beetroot, and we don't want them much bigger than that at all. That will be enough for now, beetroot wise, because we've got all those beans, all those tomatoes for passata. We just need to grab a little bit of that basil and we'll be on our way to the table to show you what we've got. We'll just take the tops off this basil. It's enjoying the sunshine, but we need the tops. It is actually beginning to flower a lot, so really we do need to take tops off. Just take them down to a joint like that, look. Just take them off there, that'll be fine. Scissors are about the best job for basil, I think. We'll just take these tops, because we can always come back if you want some more, aren't we? And they smell absolutely beautiful when you're cutting basil. I'm trying to keep the stems down because before we go I'll just pop a bit of water in. They just smell nice. Because they'll fall down, won't they? There you go. We think that will be plenty for now, but we can always fetch some more. And what I should do is I'll just put a little bit of water in the bottom. Now we've finished harvesting just as the sun came out, so it's got quite warm now, but there's a little bit of breeze, so. But we'll get these in and get them cool and then have a cup of tea. Quite a bit of processing to do with all these, so we do appreciate it, Diane. Tomatoes, these are the reds. mainly for passata, and those they'll be mixed together, and there'll be some onions into the shed, which were the overwintered onions that we need using up. The basil, it's in this little bit of water just to help hold it, because it will go down quick. Cucumber, just a small one today because we've got half of one still in the fridge. These are the Pongo beans. Thanks to Bill and Val, we've got a good crop of those. They seem to like our ground, they do. And of course the beetroot bolt hardy, which is done quite well. As I say, we didn't want them much bigger than that though. Yes, we're up to about 25 degrees Celsius now in the shade, so it's warming up. Last weekend that was at 32 in the shade, so I went in the shade as well. We've had a good harvest today. We've enjoyed picking it until the sun came out, and next week we've got a little bit of pruning to do around the garden, so if you've got soft fruit etc and you want to see how to prune it, we'll show you. Now we'll also be putting the nets on those peas that we set. They're growing quite well actually, I'm pleased with those. So we'll see you next week. Take care everybody. If it gets much hotter, don't forget to go in the shade, and let's hope for a little bit of rain, especially at night. So take care, we'll see you in a few days. Bye now.